Hello everybody, my name is Anne Kayem. I'm a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Town in South Africa, and over the next series of lectures I'm going to be taking you through what it is to work on social networks, what privacy and what security measures you should be aware of and that you should implement or take into account when you're using social media. Right now, I'm going to begin by giving you an overview of the course, what it is we are going to cover during the course, and the exciting path that we are going to journey on throughout the next series of lectures. Social media, to begin with, we all know about in some way. We know that, for example, there's Facebook where we can contact friends, we can share pictures, we can share messages, we can talk about news items, we can spread information about objections or opinions that we have. And all of this is possible because the environment allows us to be able to collaborate and share information in ways that were not possible before. In terms of the course outline, what I will be looking at is social media in general. We'll look at some examples, the usefulness of social media, which you know about in some way. We'll go on to look at, for example, password security, why it is that you need a strong password, how this impacts on access control, who can access your data, when, how, and why. And then we go on to looking at privacy policies. Privacy policies are all of what govern information that you publish on the web, what this information says about you, your profile, what it says about you in general, and why it is that you want to protect this information from people who are not authorized to see the information. We look at, for example, posting of content. What happens, for example, when you post a picture, how this violates, for example, privacy policies that you have defined prior to this, access control policies that exist, how this impacts, for example, on your password and the inferences that people can deduce or that can draw from the information that you've published, and what can happen with this information that they gain from the information that you've published, for example. We all hear, for example, about things like identity theft and how this can be detrimental to our profile, to our humanity, to our whole being, and how we present ourselves to the public. We look then afterwards at things like spoofing. So spoofing happens pretty much in prelude to things like phishing and scamming attacks. We look at things like cyber stalking and how they build on information that has been drawn from information that you've published on your profile. We go on to look at social network graphs. We look at this because, in fact, social networks are a big connection of graphs. So each user is like, for example, a node or a representation in the graph. And this user is connected to other users, and it is this connection to other users that we call a graph. We talk about anonymization because it's important to anonymize. Anonymization helps to protect you, to protect the content that you provide on social media, to protect the information in general that you publish. And then we talk about de-anonymization. De-anonymization is important because this is what bad guys do in order to foil the measures that you've taken in terms of access control, in terms of privacy policies that you've set. We go on to look at malware. We've all heard about different kinds of malware, how they affect social networks, how people we trust are exploited and are used to spread information or to spread malware that later on causes us trouble on our computing systems. And then we talk about spying and advertising. Advertising because you've all had the experience of, for example, liking something on Facebook or going onto some shopping website and purchasing something and finding that every single browsing page you open has an advertisement about some clothes or some shoes or some chocolate or something that you bought. And this can be very annoying, and you don't want people to be looking looking at information that you have given out voluntarily, but that you want at the same time to remain private. And because of this, we then look at things like anonymous browsing. How do you browse in ways that what you're doing is not visible to these guys who are interested in capturing your information in order to use it in ways that you would not agree to? We look at automation of privacy policies because we all get lazy, and sometimes we just want the computing system to be able to look at all of the different possibilities and make things just that much easier for us. And finally, we look at other approaches for those of you who are excited about things like encryption. And then we look at things like other people who decide, for example, that they don't want to use these sorts of systems. And we say that even if you don't use these systems, you are still in danger, so you should be listening to what we are saying here today. In terms of some books that you might be interested in, we have, for example, a book on social media in general, books on, for example, privacy online, books that combine, for example, security and privacy in social networks, and what data and big data is beginning to mean in terms of collecting all of the information that we publish on things like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and so on. This course or this workshop is going to be going on for 2 weeks. I hope that you will enjoy the journey with me. I hope also that you will take active part in the course, commenting on the forum, asking questions, and that you will grow with me throughout the 2 weeks of this course.